All right, everyone, thank you for coming. We are honored today to have some Duquesne University's Capstone students working on a project for us regarding 311 and improving our efficiency. And they've been working on this for, what, 4 to 6 weeks? Introducing Morgan, Ashley, Reg, and who'd I forget? Taylor. All right, thanks, ladies.
Thank you, Wendy. For the past 4 to 6 weeks, as you see, we've been working with the 311 Center of Pittsburgh and working on improving the capabilities of 311 through efficient and effective processes. So we're going to go into our agenda today and kind of the outline of our presentation. First, we're going to go back to the scope of the project, kind of what we were introduced to when we first came into this project and what our goals were starting this. And then we're going to kind of go into kind of the current situation of 311, then kind of look at some best practices, some benchmarks. Then we're going to look at some short-term recommendations and some long-term recommendations that a 311 can maybe apply later down the road. Then we have an action plan and some next steps for 311 to follow up on. So just get started here. I'm going to read you guys the scope. This was the scope of the project that we were given when we first started. So the 311 Response Center of Pittsburgh is in the process of improving their customer relationship management system. 311 Pittsburgh engaged a team of MBA sustainability students from Duquesne University to evaluate their operations versus best-in-class practices for 311 centers. They aim to develop cost-effective recommendations and an action plan to improve responsiveness, performance consistency, quality control, and internal-external communication for reporting functions. So that's just kind of a little overview of what we, as a team of students, were coming into at the 311 Center. So next I'll pass it off to Reg to talk about the current situation.
Thanks, Tay. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about the current 311 situation. So we talked a little bit about it in the scope, what exactly we're trying to do here, what is our main goal. And so first we take a look at what 311 is currently doing, some of the great practices that are currently happening, and then some areas for room for improvement we'll talk about with our stakeholder analysis. So some of the current things that are going on is there's a new Q alert system. This is a new technology which has started recently, and this is something that is really changing and advancing a lot of what 311 is doing, specifically in Pittsburgh. Also, that new technology is what we're hoping to use in improving the customer relationship management, the CRM circle. There are dedicated employees, so all of you who are here, not just the people who work for 311, but the people who are supporting in this department as well. We recognize that through our weekly meetings coming here, that there are a lot of dedicated employees who are really working hard to improve 311 and the practices that you're doing. Also prioritizing customer service. This is something we recognized off the bat. That is something really important that 311 is doing. So recognizing that there is room for improvement also comes along with that. So I think the first step to becoming a more productive and more efficient and effective organization is recognizing that there is always room for improvement. So that's a great first step. So in beginning our research into looking into ways that 311 could improve its practices, we recognize that there are many stakeholders that are involved. This includes obviously 311 itself, the management, employees, liaisons that you're working with, such as DPW, animal control, other organizations that you work very closely with, and then also software technology specialists and customers, which the main goal here is to improve the customer service and to increase that CRM efficiency. So in talking with a few different of these stakeholders, we talked with at least 1 to 2 minimum stakeholders for each category, and we interviewed them in asking basic questions about how they currently view 311, what are some areas of room for improvement, what are some feedback or recommendations that these specific stakeholders might recommend. And then in looking at that, we found with customers, they recognized that there was a gap in the CRM circle, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. Also, some customers recognize that 311 does work with other liaisons, that when they call 311, it's not 311 that takes care of all of the issues that they're dealing with. And this is just some of the customers who recognize that. So that means that there are probably some who don't recognize that. And that's where the CRM circle fits in. With employees, there are some that might be a little bit frustrated with city partnerships due to lack of fulfillment of requests, and this could be an issue of accountability, which we'll also talk about in the future as well. Also, based on our observations, we were able to observe some of the employees here during our first couple weeks on the project. We recognize that the employees are cross-trained, so very much able to handle multiple tasks at a time, cross diversity in the sense that you can work in many different areas, which is really great. With liaisons and partners, we specifically spoke with DPW, and DPW prioritizes their requests based on their safety and the ranking issues. And then they also have a lot of backlogged requests right now. So we recognize that this is a huge issue, probably not just with DPW, but with other organizations as well, that there's a lot of backlog. With management is open for improvement, again, as I mentioned before, especially using the new technology, and you recognize the importance of employee engagement. So it's not just what you give to the customers and your liaisons, but what you're doing internally, working with the people who are really the core of your organization. And then software technology specialist, we recognize with the new technology, it might be underutilized, and that comes with, with change. It's kind of awkward sometimes. It's hard to adjust, and so there are always ways to improve that, and that comes with better knowledge and learning the actual uses of Q Alert system that could really help to advance 311. And then also data from weekly reports could help to improve efficiency, and this is something we're going to talk about a little bit later as well. So just really quickly, also along with our research in talking to stakeholders, we also looked at what some other 311 centers across the states are doing and some of their best practices. So we recognized and identified a few that are actually going to be considered in our recommendations as well. So the first thing is the Baltimore 311 Center. They have a low number of call type categories for increased efficiency, and we're going to talk again a little bit about that in our recommendations. Also, from the 311 conference that just happened recently, educating participating municipal service agencies on the benefits of participating in a 311 system can really help. So this includes other liaisons and partners that may not currently be working with 311. Also from the Baltimore benchmark as well, launching a real-time map of the 311 calls, and that displays the calls in real time for community members and for the departments to view. It's just a way to be able to have it all in one map. So it's a real-time view. And then also a 311 mobile video, mobile application video, which is from Denver, and this is actually a benchmark that we received information from Wendy and Naomi from, a benchmark that they admired. This 311 center is doing a lot, especially with communicating to the public, and so this is something that we recognize as a best practice as well. So moving into some of our short-term recommendations, we've been meeting weekly with Naomi and Wendy to discuss a little bit of, once we started our research, where to go from there in terms of, how to incorporate what all of the stakeholders have said, what we've learned from these best practice, best-in-class benchmarks. And so these are just some short-term recommendations that we think could begin application immediately. The first is enhancing the CRM system through reporting, and I'm happy to hear that this is actually something that has already started. Wendy mentioned that they had already started with the weekly reports to liaisons. So what we recognized in speaking with the stakeholders of customers, the 311 center obviously, and the liaisons is that this is the circle that is kind of created. So some people might think, when I say some people, I mean some customers might think that it's specifically the customer talks to 311 and then they're the ones that end up coming back to the customer. So there's a little bit of confusion there because some customers don't realize that 311 partners and works with other organizations, and they're the ones who are actually fulfilling the requests that are put in. So there's a little bit of a gap we recognize within the CRM circle, and so we think that weekly reporting to liaisons will really help to increase the accountability, and this accountability will really help these partner liaison organizations to recognize, okay, in order to complete this full relationship management circle, in order to really have these customers satisfied with what we're doing, we need to obviously be on top of what we're doing. And in order to do that, you need to have accountability. And accountability can come with these weekly reports that might put a little bit more pressure on you, might just be a way to become more aware of how many, things are in the queue. That's something to just kind of increase the awareness and accountability. And this is a specific quote from an interview that we did with one of the customers of 311. He's a very proactive customer. Always uses the 311 app and also has called in before. And he said, "My recommendation is a point of closure. From an end user's standpoint, citizens like to know that the request has been fulfilled, and using 311 and their customer service to spearhead it." So he really values the importance of 311 getting back to him. And so that's kind of where that end loop really links in with the accountability through the weekly reporting. So I'm going to pass it on to Taylor, who's going to talk a little bit more about employee engagement.
Thanks, Reg. Yeah, so like Reg said, I'm going to talk a little bit about employee engagement. As we were going through this process, talking with Wendy and Naomi, we kind of threw out the idea of employee engagement, and something that they really were interested in. I know that you guys both have a lot on your plate, and in any firm, not just the 311, it is hard to keep those employees engaged and stay active with your employees. We did get the chance to observe the center, and the employees are very dedicated, and you guys are doing a great job with all that you have on your plate with the employees. So what we're going to go through here is the next slide is going to be an idea, some ideas for employee engagement, and this is going to be kind of why and what we want to see come out of the employee engagement. So here we want to see a stronger call center build up with some of the ideas that we have for employee engagement. You can see the diagram here. This is a typical diagram, a proprietary model for positive engagement. It kind of goes through innovation, achievement, mastery, well-being, connection, and appreciation. So if you can achieve all these things, then you're going to have positive engagement. That's just a little model we wanted to show you guys. Along with creating a stronger call center, this could have some PR value opportunities, which we'll talk about in the next slide as well. Also, peers recognizing peers throughout departments. I know we talked with Wendy, and this was something that may have happened in the past, so not just going beyond the 311 center, but other organizations as well. If you see someone's doing a great job, an employee from another department, recognize them. Employees like to hear that stuff, and they'll appreciate the recognition. So looking at some of the ideas for engaging employees, like I said before, we had the chance to observe the employees, and we had the chance to talk to some employees. So I'm going to start with the quote from one of the employees that says, "As employees, we have to remind ourselves to have more patience because people think we should be getting the requests filled. They don't treat us as a hub like we are." This kind of hones in on the CRM part that Reg talked about, that the customer's not knowing that 311 is the hub. But with this quote that I wanted to show is that these employees do realize that they're in the customer service industry. They're in the service of taking complaints all day, and it was really nice to hear that these employees are so dedicated, and they constantly remind themselves that, hey, we do have to be patient with the line of work that we're in. So some of these ideas to engage these employees a little bit better, just to kind of help remind them of this as well. So one thing is to maintain a culture of employee ownership. So kind of help those employees feel like they're a little bit more than just a call center answering the phone. Let them feel like they can help, help you with your processes, give you any opinions or give you any ideas on how to make things better. Look at administering a formal employee engagement survey. Studies show that employees, will be more engaged if they feel like their opinions matter. So if you even did this monthly, yearly, however you guys choose to do this, but just kind of get the employees more engaged and let them give you their feedback. And one thing with them giving your feedback, then you guys should, with those requests, kind of fulfill that and, listen to your employees and act upon what they're telling you. The third thing would be to reward and recognize best performing employees. So an example of this would be a wall of fame. So within the 311 center office, you could do this monthly, you could do this however you choose. Do like an employee of the month. Praise those who do things well, because employees, that's going to motivate them to do things better. Also, publicly recognize employee success on the website or the MyBurg app. I know we've talked with Wendy, and she said that the website is kind of getting revamped. So we were thinking maybe setting a section aside. I know some of the employees may not want their pictures up there, but even if you put their name and a little recognition blurb as to what they did, that's good for the, that's kind of getting back to the PR side of things. It lets the public see, hey, these 311 employees are great, they're doing great things, and it also lets the employees have some recognition for themselves as well. So that was just some ideas we had for employee engagement. We're going to pass it off to Ashley and Reg for some benefits of the MyBurg app.
Okay, so one thing we learned about the 311 app is that from the customers who do use it, they love it, and they really do think that it serves the purpose that it's supposed to serve. So we want to talk about the benefits of the app. Well, it's there to inform the public of the convenience of the app, how you can take a picture of a pothole and send it off. It also taps into another demographic that maybe is more prone to use mobile devices. Mobile apps are constantly emerging. It's something that's growing, and it's something that won't be going away anytime soon. The tracking of the progress and completion of projects are able to be seen on the apps. So with one of the customers, we saw that some things were in queue, some things were completed, and the customers do really appreciate that. Also, 311 will be able to communicate with the end user and bring the CRM full circle, as Reg hit on. And we're also capable, 311 is capable and has the knowledge. So you guys have a digital manager, so outsourcing isn't needed. You have everything here to constantly keep the app working, and that's very beneficial. So one thing that we talked about doing was getting more people aware of using the app. So one thing we do learn is the people who use it, they love it, but there's a lot of callers who don't know about the app. So I have a here's what and a here's how. So this is what your call center sounds like now.
You have reached the City of Pittsburgh 311 response line. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. This call may be recorded for quality assurance and training purposes. We appreciate your call. Please remain on the line for our next available operator. Thank you and have a great day.
All right, and then here is a how. You have reached the City of Pittsburgh's 311 response line. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. This call may be recorded for quality assurance and training purposes. If you have not been to our 311 app and would like to submit a request, please download the MyBurg app where you can refer for quick answers to the questions that we get most often. We are looking forward to speaking with you. Please remain on the line for the next available operator. Thank you for waiting. If you are waiting to hear from a representative and you have not heard about our app, please download the MyBurg app. We can answer any of your frequent questions there. And so that's just a way that while waiting, they can learn about your app instead of having to broadcast it. It's out there, but a lot of people are unaware of it. So that was a recommendation, short term. And now we're going to go into some long-term recommendations, and we're going to hand it off to Morgan.
Okay, so one of the important things that we have recognized is that there are a lot of complexities and different things that can be solved but are really going to take some time to do. So these are our long-term recommendations. Through talking with employees, Wendy and Naomi, we kind of learned a little bit more about the process and things that could change in the future, but probably not until, the short-term recommendations have been implemented. The one thing that we looked at, and we found this information from the Baltimore 311 Center, they seem to have great success with categorization of their calls. So right now, the Pittsburgh 311 Center has over 200 different call types. On the other hand, Baltimore has around 10, and that almost streamlines their entire process. Customers are able to call, pick one of the 10 options, and it directs them to where they need to go. Whether it be an employee who specializes in answering that specific type of question, or if it is to wherever the call needs to go is where basically we'll end up. So one of the things that we recommend is reducing the call type by tenfold. So like I said, currently we have 200. We want to try to get that down to 20. And not only can it help streamline the process, but we also think it'd be very beneficial for collecting data. So we can see these different categories, the seasonality of when the call center is receiving these calls, how frequently they're receiving them, the partners and liaisons who respond to the specific calls. And going forward, we can even organize the different call types based on which liaisons are going to respond or which frequency or how frequent these specific calls come in. So just to give you a little bit of an idea, we made, obviously this is not anywhere near complete, just a slight mock-up of what the comprehensive categorization could look like. So each main category we gave a letter number. Potholes is A, and we left potholes as its own group because, as you can see, that had the most calls, and I'm not really sure there needs to be anything else weighing down that category. Then we went on and broke down different request types based on various criteria. For example, for residential lawns and properties, complaints on those, we broke down some things like the couch on the porch or leaves, grass, other yard debris, that type of thing. And we assigned that a numerical value, based on the amount and the frequency of calls. So we have that broken down. Additionally, one of the things that we did notice, particularly, there's an example, for new service requests, there's a lot of very confusing categories. For example, traffic or pedestrian signal request, but then we also have pedestrian signal requests down there. And I'm sure that that has a lot to do with, which liaison's responding, but we feel that we could really cut down and streamline the process by laying out the different categories like this. So you can see that there's clearly two of the same category and kind of try to sort that out and really help customers and employees work better with partners in order to get the problem solved more quickly. Ashley?
All right, and we also are going to look at 311 reaching the public. So as we talked about earlier, we had a Denver benchmark, and it's basically a cartoon, a little video, and she's going around showing exactly how to use the app. So she'll take a picture of a building or a pothole, and she'll send it off. And I think that that's one of the things that a lot of people really appreciate that that the app is able to do, but again, a lot of people don't know about it. So we were thinking about the creation of a small video, and I know that you guys have the brain power and the person to do it with the new hire. So by engaging the new digital engagement manager, create a short video of exactly how to use 311. So this video will highlight the benefits of exactly how to use the app. Eventually, we would like it to increase the usage and free the in-office busy work that the 311s do. I mean, the employees are very good at what they do, and they're also very busy also. This video will be able to be shared via YouTube, your Twitter account, Facebook, and local community forums. So the next City Hall meeting, it would be a video that's shown that very simple, but just basically how to use the app and all the benefits that you could reap from using the app. And getting towards the end of it, we want to kind of wrap it up with some actual busy work things to do. So we have enhance, improve, document, and create. So we want to enhance the employee engagement through recognition, improve accountability through weekly reporting, which is already being done, document the processes for all levels of operation. If Wendy or Naomi happen to be out or gone on vacation, it wouldn't miss a beat. Everybody would know exactly how to carry on and move throughout the day. And also create shared value by closing the gap in the CRM circle. So bringing that full circle from the communications relationship management.
So this is just some actionable steps that can be taken immediately starting out. We recognize that, through the action plan, it's a lot of, goals that are set in place and a lot of long-term things that can be considered from all the recommendations that we made. But these are specific action steps that 311 can really start to incorporate now in order to reach that goal. So the first thing is creating the weekly reports to communicate with the liaisons to improve the accountability. This is something that has already started, which is great, and we would like to see that continue. And then also utilizing the in-house digital innovation specialist to create the 311 informational video. We recognize that something that's really important is communicating to the public, communicating to them what 311 is doing, what's new with 311, for example, the MyBurg app, and just kind of bringing the community and the members of the community in Pittsburgh forward to really understanding, okay, this is what 311 does. This is what we can do to contribute. And so that's something that would be a really great next step because you do have the resources in-house, and that's something that would be a great project for the new hire as well. Also, engaging employees through the activities that create PR value opportunities. Taylor touched on this earlier, so including some of those activities that really enhance the people who are working at the core of this organization to help achieve the goals that you are trying to achieve. So throughout this entire process, throughout this project, throughout our weekly meetings with Wendy and Naomi, throughout our observations, we have recognized that 311 really does recognize that there's room for improvement and has actually taken some actionable steps already to try to close that gap in the CRM circle. And so we think that through these short-term and action steps, and also with those long-term goals in mind, that 311 really will be able to improve their efficiency and effectiveness in working with their liaisons and with their customers, and also internally as an organization. So we just want to leave you with this quote. We love Steve Jobs. The only way to do great work is to love what you do, and this is so evident with everyone that we have encountered here. And we constantly want to, thank you for your service. We are very appreciative of what you do for Pittsburgh, and this is something that is really great to keep in mind, daily when you're going through the struggles of trying to become a more, efficient and effective organization. But we really do appreciate you for having us and for allowing us to work with you. Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedules to have us speak with you. Thank you.
Thank you.